So for your starter, it looks a little bit weird because it's like the same thing on the top and bottom, and then the same thing at the top and bottom. So what was essentially supposed to happen is we were supposed to be green and save paper and like cut it in half so that like one starter could go for 2 kids instead of 1 kid. But obviously there was a copying error, so we were not green and we were just as wasteful as always. So I'm sorry, but
why didn't we?
well, it could be, but we made too many copies, so it just didn't make a difference. We made enough copies for 1 per kid instead of half per kid. Yes. Hurry, okay. All right, so let's do this. We started talking about something called arithmetic sequences on Friday night for your level work, or sorry, for your video notes. And this is the last lesson of the chapter. So if this were a normal school year, then we would have a test tomorrow. Okay, well, obviously we don't really have an actual test tomorrow because you're not in a normal school year. So that's why we have our Edgenuity quizzes tomorrow. Okay. Oh, let me also show you this then. What are we actually doing today? So it's also a little different because you don't have video notes because it is the last lesson of the chapter. Week number 3, Monday. Okay, we're going to do the starter together. You're going to do the level work by yourself. Here are the answers. Your homework is to submit your level work and complete the Edgenuity quiz. You see how there's an Edgenuity quiz for homework. 10 questions, multiple choice, 2 chances. Okay, this one is slope intercept form. So if you get into Edgenuity, it's actually like the first one. Okay, so please don't be like, wait, where is it? Because it normally comes on the bottom. At this time, it's going to be a little out of order. So it's the first one. These 2 should have scores next to them because these 2 should be done. So it's basically do all the ones that are here because I'm going to average these 3, and that's going to be 1 chapter test. And remember, with this chapter test, the first group of IXLs, I'll add the 10 points to this group of 3. Okay? Yes, Tessa?
If you had already taken it first, but you didn't do the second attempt, and then you get a bad grade on that quiz, and you want to bring the average up, can you retake?
So you can retake any of these 3 right now, but I'm putting these in the grade book probably on like Thursday. So if I put it in the grade book, your second attempt will be too late. So get your second attempt done as soon as you can for any of these 3. Okay? Yes.
Do we retake and we don't have 2 attempts? Or if we already did 2 attempts?
No. So you only get 2 attempts. So unfortunately, if you still fail or if you get like a bad grade on your second attempt, I'm going to take the higher score, but it is what it is. Okay? Okay. So you have an Edgenuity quiz for homework today, but let's do this first. Let's do the starter and then the level work. Okay? So this says write the next 3 terms in the arithmetic sequence. Guys, an arithmetic sequence is going to be a plus or minus pattern. That's what arithmetic means. Or you could say it's arithmetic, potato, right? Arithmetic. So it's an arithmetic sequence is basically you know that you have a plus or minus pattern. So your first term is 4. Your term is like which number, like which sequence it is. And then you want to write the next 3. So basically, I want to figure out what these 3 blanks are. Okay. Now, they give you this thing called a common difference. The common difference is basically going to be how much you're adding or subtracting by. So if your common difference is 9 and it's a positive 9, do you think you're adding 9 or subtracting 9? Adding 9, right? So your pattern is going to be plus 9, plus 9, plus 9. So that's how you can find your last 3 numbers or your next 3 numbers. So 4 plus 9, what is it? 13 plus 9. Plus 9. 31. So these are your 3 answers because it says find the next 3 terms. Not too bad, right? So far, so good. So an arithmetic sequence is a plus or minus pattern. And then vocab, common difference means how much you're adding or subtracting by. Okay, so for this one, they give me the numbers. I have to figure out what the next 3 are, but they don't tell me how much I'm adding or subtracting by. So does anyone think they can figure out then? What do I need to do to figure out how much I'm adding or subtracting by? Garrett?
Subtract the first number or the second number by the first number.
Okay, so you're taking the second number, okay, and subtracting it by the first number. So in your calculator, you might be like, oh, there's fractions. Okay, so if you want to type it in with fractions, you can also say it's negative 8.5. But let's say it's like a repeating decimal. How do you type in a repeating decimal in your calculator as a fraction? Well, okay, So it's alpha y equals, and if you want 3 boxes, because it's 8 and 1/2, it's the second option. Okay, so the second option, do you see how now you have 3 boxes? So you have -8 and then 1 and then 2. That's how you type in -8.5. If you forget that it's a second option and you just hit the first option, then do 1/2, arrow back until you get in front of it, and then just stick in a -8 and then forward. Like, you see how there's many ways you can type this in your calculator? But it's -8 and 1/2 minus, well, hold on, it's not -17, it's -17. Okay, so do you see what you're doing? You need to see how much you're adding or subtracting by. So I need to figure out take the second number and subtract it by the first number. So it's 17 over 2, which is the same thing as I'm adding 8.5. Okay, that's how I figure out my common difference. Take the second number, subtract it by the first number. So since it's a positive 8.5 in my calculator, that means I'm adding. If it were a negative, then that means I'd be subtracting, which makes sense. -17 plus 8.5 gives me a bigger number, -8.5. -8.5 plus 8.5 obviously gives me 0.
Why couldn't you just look at the 0 and then look at the
Oh, you can. Yes. So Kip says, why do I have to look at these bad numbers? Can't I just look at this one and see what the pattern is, plus 8.5? Yes, you totally can. But that would be an obvious one. Sometimes there's not obvious ones on your paper. Okay, so let's just add 8.5. So what's 8.5 plus 8.5? 17. What's 17 plus 8.5? 20 what and a half?
25 and a half.
25 and a half. You can write 25.5 or 25 and 1/2. Okay, I don't care if you write it as a fraction or a decimal because it's not repeated. If it's a repeating decimal, you have to write it as a fraction. Okay, and then 25.5 plus 8.5? 34. Thank you. So here are your 3 answers. Okay, the next one, is this an arithmetic sequence? And then explain why. So remember, arithmetic means you have to add or subtract. So basically they're asking you, are you adding and subtracting in a pattern here? Read, what do you think? Okay, so no, because it's times 3 times 3 times 3. So that's why my answer would be no. It does say explain why. So because it's a multiply pattern. You can say that, or you can say no because you're multiplying by 3, or you can say no because it's a geometric sequence. You are going to learn about this, but in a couple of chapters, not right now. So there is a difference. Arithmetic means you're adding and subtracting pattern. Geometric means that it's a multiply divide pattern. So you technically haven't learned about geometric, but there is one IXL level that says, is it arithmetic or geometric? Arithmetic or geometric? Arithmetic or geometric? So you just have to decide, add, subtract, or multiply divide pattern. Yes, Rowan?
So, essentially, it also is, like, in this case, that most geometric patterns are also exponential in one way or another.
Yes, it is exponential. So for sure, it is exponential. Yes.
So times 2 times 2.
Yeah, here you go.
Exponential is when it's like constantly like doubling.
It gets bigger.
Or
and
like
bigger.
to some exponent. Yeah, not maybe doubling, but tripling, or quadrupling. Okay, now this is the hard part. Okay, use an equation for the nth term of the arithmetic sequence to find a to that number. So, yeah, so sorry, this is the backside, number 4, 5, 6. This is the backside now. Okay, here is the equation that if this were a normal school year, I would say you have to memorize. Okay, well, obviously, since this is not a normal school year, you're not going to memorize it. But if this were, you would have a test on this, so you do have to memorize it. Okay, so here's the equation. It's a to the n equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. So all of you write this on top of your paper. So this is what you practiced on your video notes from Friday night or whenever you did your video notes, maybe this morning for you procrastinators, bad children. Please don't procrastinate. Okay, it's going to snowball and you're not going to finish at least by the time you get to high school. Okay, so what did you say?
High school don't you have 2 days to do everything?
In high school, you do get 2 days to do everything, but you still have a class every day, even though it's a different day, right? So like, even though you have math homework due in 2 days, but then the next day you have like science homework or history homework. So you still have homework every day. I don't think it makes it any easier or harder. It's just kind of the same. Okay, so let's use this equation to find the 30-second term. So here's the thing. Like I could write out all the terms until I get to the 30-second one, but that would take me forever. So why don't I plug this into the equation? So I have a to the 32, right? A to the n is 32. I want the 30-second term. Equals, okay, A1. Does anyone remember, what does A1 stand for? Not the answer, but what does it stand for? Tessa? The first term. That's why it's 1 here. The first term is, you see how it's negative 10? So negative 10 plus parentheses, n. Does anyone know what n stands for? Owen?
The common difference.
The n is not your common difference. No.
Isn't it just,
Hey, raise your hand, raise your hand. Yes, Kip.
isn't it just the number 32?
The number you're looking for. I'm looking for the 30-second term. So n is your term number. And then you have a -1. And then times d. Oh, and your d is your common difference. So that's what I don't know. That's what you have to figure out. Yes, Kip?
If you went, could you go backwards and have a negative term? Like if you went to negative 15, which is or like
Yes.
it's like backwards of negative 10.
You can
would it
have a
be
negative term.
The term -1 or like a -1.
But no one ever really asks for negative terms because why would you look for something before if you have a starting point? But yeah, you're right, you could and it would work out. Okay, so your d is your common difference. I don't know what the pattern is because it doesn't say. So you could look at this and figure out, okay guys, does anyone think they know? Raise your hand please. What number is your common difference? Luis? 5. It's positive 5, not negative 5. Negative 5 means you're subtracting. I'm not subtracting. I'm adding 5, adding 5, adding 5. So it's positive 5. Okay. When you type this in your calculator is this amazing that it does PEMDAS for you. Please don't do it like piece by piece. What I want you to do instead is just type it all in as one long problem. So negative 10 plus parentheses 32 minus 1 parentheses times 5. All of you type this in as one long sentence. Try it. I want to make sure that we're typing it in correctly and we know how to do this. Did anyone get an answer? Emily? 145. So yeah, I mean, I could like draw a bunch of lines up to the 30-second one and then add 5, add 5, add 5, add 5, add 5, but that would take me forever, right? If I just know this equation, boom, 145. Okay, adding 5 is not so bad. Some of you might be like, I could totally do that on a STAR test. Sure, you have 4 hours on a STAR test. Go for it. But when you have something like this, it's a little bit more difficult because, well, you have decimals, so your numbers are a little bit more difficult. So first of all, I'm looking for a to the 11th. Now I'm looking for the 11th term. So equals A1. JC, which number here is A1? Your A1 stands for your first term. Which one here is your first term?
Negative 0.25.
Yes, negative 0.25. So A1, guys, always stands for your first term. So then plus parentheses n. All right. Cameron, which number here is your n?
11.
That's the term you're looking for. I'm looking for the 11th term. So it's n, which is 11, minus 1 times d. Does anyone think they can raise their hand and tell us what is your common difference? Nadia? 0.5. So if you truly don't know, what you can do is take the second number and subtract it by the first number. So 0.25 minus negative 0.25 is, 0.5, positive. So if it's a positive, that means I'm adding 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Now, type it all in as one long question in your calculator. Go slow, type carefully. If you mistype it, then obviously you're going to get the wrong answer. Once someone gets an answer, will you please raise your hand and tell us? Read. 5.25 is close, but I think you mistyped something then. Sienna, 4.75. Ooh, 4.75. Reed, you went one more. So I don't know if you forgot to minus the 1 here or you accidentally typed in 12. Because 5.25 would be the next one after 4.75. Okay, word problem. The temperature of some water increases 2 degrees Fahrenheit every hour after an initial temperature of 50 degrees. Use an equation for the nth term of the arithmetic sequence to find a to the 6th, the temperature of the water after 6 hours. Okay, so we got to plug this in our equation. A to the 6th, because we want the 6th one, equals, all right, A1. A1 stands for my first term. Can someone raise their hand if they know what number that would be? Jose? Initial means start. Yeah, so it's 50. Your start is your first. Your first would be your 50. So plus parentheses n, someone different. Can you raise your hand, please, and tell us what n is? Kip? 6, because you want to find A6. It says right here, 6 hours after. So it's 6 minus 1 times D. I guess this is the trickiest one because it doesn't flat out, I don't know. I mean, I don't, out of all this, I think it would be probably the hardest. JC, what do you think? Yes, JC. Okay, here's the hard part. Is it positive or negative 2? Right. So I think people always get confused with is it positive or negative? Increase means going up. Up means positive. If you were decreasing 2, that would be a negative 2. Okay, did someone type this in their calculator yet, Ashlyn? 60 degrees. Very good. Okay. So that's what your level work looks like. Let me see really quick.
How do you show work?
I don't know. Let's see how do you show work is you writing the equation. That's how you show work, right? So
So you don't have to like show how you're multiplying.
no, just because you're typing it all in your calculator. So for this one, I guess there's really no work to show on the back side because it says write the equation and then solve it. So the back side, you don't need any work really, as long as you have your equation. Oh, that's the back again, equation shown. But the front side, oh, so sad, guys. You really don't need to show that much work today. No work to really show. Okay, so as long as you get your final answers correct, you should be okay. Okay, I want to show you one thing, all of you, because there's one IXL level that I feel like you might have a little bit of difficulty with. And it's in the second group. I believe it's P5. So I want to just kind of go over that with you, just so if those of you want to do IXL tonight, you're going to know how to do it. P5, okay? I'm going to do P5 with you right now. Just a couple questions, just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so it says find A2 and A3, but it gives you this really weird equation. So it says you start with 1. Now you're going to take, the rule is you're going to take 6. You don't see a plus or minus, so it's always times. You're going to times that by the number you're looking for minus 1. So if I'm looking for the second term, do you see how like, darn it, I can't write on the screen. Okay, so do you see how the one, like this means A to the n minus 1 means what is before. The term before A2 was A1, right? And it's 1. So you're just doing 6 times 1, which is 6. So like for this one, for the next one, it says take 6 and multiply it by the answer to the term before. The answer to the term before was 6. So do you see how here you're taking 6 times 6, which you get 36? Does that kind of make sense? Like you're taking the answer. Okay, so let me do another one then. It would be a geometric one, yeah. But the thing here is you're just practicing the equation. So you start with 1, the answer is 1. The next one you want to do, you're going to take 5 and multiply it by the answer of the one previous. Well, the answer of the one previous was 1, right? So you're doing 5 times 1, which is 5. Now this one, you're going to take 5 and you're multiplying it by the answer previous to this. Isn't the answer previous to this 5? So you're doing 5 times 5, which is 25. Yes, Reed?
Could I just take the first and second number, multiply them, and then multiply the second number again?
Well, that's because it starts with 1, right? But what if you don't start with 1? So let me do one that doesn't start with 1. Okay, 3. So 4 times the one previous to this. Oh, no. Darn it, I can't write on this thing. I really wish I could. Do you see how this is A1, but you're looking for A3? So let's do this. Well, I guess that doesn't really help. Maybe I'll write really big. Okay. So,
These are all two.
oh my gosh, what did I just do? No. Oh, there we go. Okay. This is what this problem is saying. Okay, I'm going to write right here. Okay, I'm going to write really big. So it told me in this problem, A1 is 3, right? Do you see how in this problem right here, A1 is 3? Now, they're asking me for A3. Okay, that's my question, A3, because down here it says A to the third. So the rule is you're going to times it by 4. So if you have to find A2 before you find A3. So isn't A2 going to be 4 times 3? Because the rule is times 4. The rule is times 4 here. So do 4 times whatever was before is 12. So for this one, you're still doing times 4, but it's 4 times what? 12, which gives you 48. So your answer here is 48. Okay, so let me just do one more with you to kind of like drive it home, okay? So like right here, you have A1, they said it's 4. It looks like here, what's your rule? Your rule is times, what do you see? What is your rule? Times what?
On 8.
Times 8. So your rule is times 8. So you're looking for, look at this, you're looking for A3. Well, I can't know A3 before I find out A2. So if my rule is times 8, I'm doing 4 times 8, which is 32, is this answer. And then to find the third one, I'm doing what times 8? 32 times 8. Because this right here, this n to the 1 always tells you what's the answer to the one previous. The answer to the one previous was 32. So whatever 32 times 8 is, it's 256. That would give me the answer. Okay.